Millions are bursting to get out, you're in the right spot. Welcome to America's Talk Show. We're live every Monday through Friday from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern. Want to join us on air? Just check out the link in the description or visit americastalk.show. Here your voice matters. Raise your hand to speak and we'll call on you as fast as we can. But hey, respectful crosstalk is totally encouraged too, and unlike others, we actually pay attention to the chat. Use it to get our attention and jump into the conversation. So, what are you waiting for? Click that link and let's see who's the first to raise their hand. Join us and be part of the dialogue that's shaping America. See you on the air.
All right. Okay, nice. Now, why is it just you? Where's the view? Okay, view. Why is it just you, Raleigh? Like me some multi-speaker. All right. So Stephanie sent me the same Mike Benz clip I sent you. It's funny. I guess we're on the same wavelength there. Oh my God, I just blanked, dude.
Man, the Harvard Medical School's coroner or mortician or whatever was busted because he was selling organs from the bodies that he was being given in charge of. They just pleaded guilty.
Is that sounds related to the kind of Planned Parenthood, but it's not. I guess it's just similar to Planned Parenthood, the selling of parts. Nice. We're on YouTube now. We should be vertical. So your squares. Oh, by the way, we can rearrange. Oh, not on the Zoom app. Okay, here's another one I got for you. Let me see if I can bring up my oh, I don't want to dox myself here. Where was it? The Walmart. Okay, I'll show the Mercury News article first. I think I can do this without doxing myself. Okay, so this is from April, all right, which is just a month. I mean, this is how the fake news, I wanted to tag Dan on it, but I don't want to start a fight. But at the same time, it's like, dude, reality check, man. Okay, here.
I would just.
I know. Okay, so here we go. San Jose Mercury News, right? Egg prices increased to record high despite Trump's predictions, right? April 10th. Okay, so new record high of 623 per dozen. And then let's just go to our, okay, I got to stop sharing. And then I got to open up Walmart in another. For all the newbies out there, make sure you don't dox yourself when you're screen sharing. Okay, jumbo eggs. Not the most exciting 15 minutes, I know, but here we go. Jumbo eggs, dude. Okay, this is in Cali, $5.56. They were $10 at the beginning of the year, then $9, right? Like $9.50, then $9, then $8, now $5.56. So it's like, is the Mercury News going to issue a retraction? No. Of course not. So, and then let's spotlight the Mike Benz thing too. Okay, well, let's do a practice. What do we call it? I think Mike Benz deserves a retweet. What do you think, Raleigh?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, Mike Benz about to get a boost from America's Talk Show. I'm bringing him up. Mike Benz Cyber. Follow. Let's do it. Let's do it live. Let's do it live. F it. We'll do it live.
Exaggerated.
Okay. What do you see, Raleigh? What do you see? Harvard is not what it seems, part 3. Let's see if we can find part 1. Oh, this is probably not the right way to do this. Let me search his profile. Okay. Do you know that? How to do that? On, there's a profile search feature, by the way.
On X?
Yeah, so see this? It's on the web version. You go to someone's profile, right? And then see the search. Now, does this work? Fucking piece of shit. No, well.
It is though. It's not the best. Well, I don't want to. Elon Musk isn't really somebody I want to insult, but
We're not insulting him. We're insulting the code base he inherited, you know? I mean, look, Harvard, I just searched for the word Harvard, right? This should have popped up, right? I mean, come on, Elon, get your team on this. Okay, let's try this. Mike Benz, Harvard, part 1. I could have done it on YouTube, but come on. You it's so annoying, dude. Oh, come on. Okay, maybe I can do it, but if I go to his media tab. Okay, I think we're getting closer. Yeah, here it is. Okay, so you saw that? I went to the media tab.
I want to watch you cook Harvard for a little bit. Go for it.
Harvard is not what it seems. Everyone thinks of it as a university. It has very little to do with the university. Structurally, it's a corporation. The Harvard Corporation, which is a 12-person board, runs the Harvard University. The Harvard Corporation now is run by Penny Pritzker. It's the Pritzker family who brought Barack Obama into political relevance in Chicago. Obviously, J.B. Pritzker is the governor of Illinois to this day. Penny Pritzker was Commerce Secretary for the Obama administration. She was the special envoy for the reconstruction of Ukraine. She's worth about $4 billion. She was the chair of the Carnegie Endowment for International Peace, which is one of the oldest think tanks in the country and was a frequent cover for CIA funding and CIA outreach work during the Cold War. Documents as early as 1951 show the Central Intelligence Agency planning things in tandem with the Carnegie Endowment for International Peace. In fact, Carnegie Endowment for International Peace was run from 2014 to 2021 by Bill Burns. And Bill Burns only left the Carnegie Endowment for International Peace, which had been previously chaired by Penny Pritzker, to run the Central Intelligence Agency. Harvard, what they do through all their different centers, whether it's the Kennedy Center, the Shorenstein Center, the Berkman-Klein Center, the Belfer Center, they focus on areas of geopolitical conflict and policy that affect the multinational corporations that donate into Harvard and that the Harvard Endowment, the $53 billion Harvard Endowment, invests in. So one of the most shocking examples that has been publicly declassified because of the U.S. government role in it, the scandals that resulted, was how Harvard made billions of dollars looting the economy of Russia during what should have been a period of peace that would have unified the U.S. with Eurasia diplomatically. When all of the trillions of state-held assets of the entire Soviet empire converted to capitalism and went through shock therapy, Harvard teamed up with the U.S. government. USAID at that time paid $500 million to Harvard's USAID. It was called the Harvard Institute for International Development. And using Harvard economists and Harvard's international relations specialists and Harvard's practitioners of statecraft, under effectively academic cover, the U.S. State Department and USAID worked with Russian oligarchs in control of the oil and gas sector, in control of the steel sector, in control of all the different sectors that previously held that wealth publicly. They worked directly with Harvard and then gave the Harvard Endowment, together with George Soros's Quantum Fund, because Soros and Harvard worked together, special private inside access to bid on all those assets. So they got to buy up, they got a first bite of the apple to buy up on the cheap all of these new assets that were previously held publicly for foreign populations. They did the same thing all over Central and Eastern Europe. And guess what? That was the same policy that the CIA and the State Department had, to take this wealth effectively, and that would increase U.S. national interest because it's being held now by Westerners rather than by foreigners. And you can see the logic of it. But the fact is this revolving door has put Harvard completely at odds with the Trump administration's foreign policy, their foreign policy on Russia, their foreign policy on Ukraine, their foreign policy on liberal interventionism writ large. And so you have this kind of economic hitman role that Harvard has played, and every system in that supports it. The Belfer Center, for example, at Harvard, which hosts not just Samantha Power, she's there now, the USAID administrator who completely.
what are you doing? I can't hear it. You must be muted or something.
The U.S. government is banned by the First Amendment from doing it. So they
Shoot, the tab, it should have shared audio. Ah. Okay, let's stop the share. Let's do that again. Oh, I forgot to do share sound. Rookie. From the top, Raleigh. Do you like the speed up?
It's too fast.
Okay, how about 1.25x? It's at 1.75.
Do 1.5.
You're a 1.5 guy. How did I know that? I think it was the trim on your beard. It's like a 1.5.
Just
Okay, here we go. Take two.
I want to watch you cook Harvard for a little bit. Go for it.
Harvard is not what it seems. Everyone thinks of it as a university. It has very little to do with a university. Structurally, it's a corporation. The Harvard Corporation, which is a 12-person board, runs the Harvard University. The Harvard Corporation now is run by Penny Pritzker. It's the Pritzker family who brought Barack Obama into political relevance in Chicago. Obviously, J.B. Pritzker is the governor of Illinois to this day. Penny Pritzker was Commerce Secretary for the Obama administration. She was the special envoy for the reconstruction of Ukraine. She's worth about $4 billion. She was the chair of the Carnegie Endowment for International Peace, which is one of the oldest think tanks in the country and was a frequent cover for CIA funding and CIA outreach work during the Cold War. Documents as early as 1951 show the Central Intelligence Agency planning things in tandem with the Carnegie Endowment for International Peace. In fact, the Carnegie Endowment for International Peace was run from 2014 to 2021 by Bill Burns. And Bill Burns only left the Carnegie Endowment for International Peace, which had been previously chaired by Penny Pritzker, to run the Central Intelligence Agency. Harvard, what they do through all their different centers, whether it's the Kennedy Center, the Shorenstein Center, the Berkman-Klein Center, the Belfer Center, they focus on areas of geopolitical conflict and policy that affect the multinational corporations that donate into Harvard and that the Harvard Endowment, the $53 billion Harvard Endowment, invests in. So one of the most shocking examples that has been publicly declassified because of the U.S. government role in it and the scandals that resulted was how Harvard made billions of dollars looting the economy of Russia during what should have been the period of peace that would have unified the U.S. with Eurasia diplomatically, when all of the trillions of state-held assets of the entire Soviet empire converted to capitalism and went through shock therapy. Harvard teamed up with the U.S. government. USAID at that time paid $500 million to Harvard's USAID. It was called the Harvard Institute for International Development. And using Harvard economists and Harvard's international relations specialists and Harvard's practitioners of statecraft, under effectively academic cover, the U.S. State Department and USAID worked with Russian oligarchs in control of the oil and gas sector, in control of the steel sector, in control of all the different sectors that previously held that wealth publicly. They worked directly with Harvard and then gave the Harvard Endowment, together with George Soros's Quantum Fund, because Soros and Harvard worked together, special private inside access to bid on all those assets. So they got to buy up, they got a first bite at the apple to buy up on the cheap all of these new assets that were previously held publicly for foreign populations. They did the same thing all over Central and Eastern Europe. And guess what? That was the same policy that the CIA and the State Department had, to take this wealth effectively, and that would increase U.S. national interest because it's being held now by Westerners rather than by foreigners. And you can see the logic of it. But the fact is this revolving door has put Harvard completely at odds with the Trump administration's foreign policy, their foreign policy on Russia, their foreign policy on Ukraine, their foreign policy on liberal interventionism writ large. And so you have this kind of economic hitman role that Harvard has played, and every system in that supports it. The Belfer Center, for example, at Harvard, which hosts not just Samantha Power, she's there now, the USAID administrator, who completely weaponized every aspect of that agency against half of the U.S. population through funding censorship initiatives, through funding initiatives that targeted Breitbart. It was USAID went after the advertisers and had whole primers on it. The Belfer Center was deeply involved with that inside of Harvard as well. Where Samantha Power now is. The Belfer Center was actually teamed up with the Department of Homeland Security. They had a formal partnership with the Department of Homeland Security. The Belfer Center actually hosted DHS CISA events to censor the internet. Harvard coached the Department of Homeland Security ahead of the 2020 election, where they targeted 20 million Trump tweets and Trump supporter tweets as mis and disinformation, and then worked to get a huge proportion of them censored at the narrative level. The Belfer Center, and I have all this clipped, it's all on my X account if you just type in Belfer Center as a phrase. They coach them about how to set up, quote, incident response teams. And they actually put Breitbart in the repeat misinformation spreaders and went after domestic media voices through the Department of Homeland Security set up to stop another 9/11 But that was done because the U.S. government is banned by the First Amendment from doing it. So they reach into their partner network, and they reached into Harvard to do that. And Harvard also specializes in organizing riots and street protest movements. They call this nonviolent action, or the term folks may have heard a lot, the term color revolution, named after things like the Velvet Revolution, the Orange Revolution, the Green Revolution, these sorts of things. The end stage of that is a street protest that removes the government from power by destabilizing it and making the police and law enforcement and military helpless against the throngs of hordes in the streets. And Harvard has an entire center on nonviolent action in order to organize those things. Well, what is Erica Chenoweth, for example, and Maria Stephan from the Belfer Center doing now? They're organizing the Tesla takedown protest, the street protests that effectively wedged Elon Musk, I think in certain respects, off of aspects of the White House by effectively doing domestic terrorism against a private car company simply to try to drive down its stock price. And so this is the sort of stuff that the Belfer Center was doing in Yugoslavia and in Ukraine ahead of the overthrow of Slobodan Milosevic and the Maidan Revolution. And so we funded this network. We've trained this network with a very special set of dark arts skills. And they are now using it against our own people and our own government, getting $9 billion worth of federal funding in the process.
Mike, this is essentially the question I want to ask. The history of Harvard is that it was founded by Americans, for Americans, to educate Americans so we would compete with and eventually surpass the elite universities overseas. Now, this is something that is used to empower foreign governments, to give our intellectual know-how to foreign leaders to clandestinely educate Xi Jinping's daughter, not tell anyone about it until a decade later, and let her take whatever she's learning back to the CCP. All of this stuff feels fundamentally against the original vision for Harvard, and certainly against anything we would want to spend $9 billion on. Where is the disconnect here between the Democrats and anyone who is defending this behavior and where we're at here in Trump's America?
Well, the issue is Harvard, as it is a corporation, and it exists effectively within the community of the U.S. Chamber of Commerce. As the business community moved to profit from China because of the export markets, because of the supply chains, because of the manufacturing and labor, Harvard began to bet on China. Harvard began to bet on a world order that did not put the United States first. And so I think you see this reflected in much of the Democrat Party. You had the Biden first family directly profiting off of deals with China. Hunter Biden famously made $10 million through CEFC China Energy. Hunter Biden was brokering the sales of LNG ports in Louisiana to China. You have huge portions of the diplomatic class who have these partnerships with China. You have huge portions of the California power base. Nancy Pelosi and Gavin Newsom, as China effectively offers California a lifeline and is doing development deals. And so you have this skating towards where the puck is going. And the problem is that puts the United States in a death spiral because they're not actually advancing U.S. interests as they do it. And part of that is, I think the U.S. State Department, as well as the Central Intelligence Agency and aspects of our Defense Department, have moved into this as well as the contractors have seen the markets in China and have seen the markets in other hostile foreign nation states. I think this is a lot of what was behind the Iran deal, this move to open up the oil and gas. And Trump put a ban on that during his administration. But then 2 months into the Biden administration, China bought, in March 2021, China signed a $400 billion deal with Iran to buy their oil and gas. I think this is also what's giving rise in part to some aspects of the Israel-Palestine conflict on college campuses, is that Bill Burns, the CIA director for Joe Biden, personally negotiated the Iran deal. And the whole network is involved in that. And the Carnegie Endowment for International Peace.
Mike, this is extraordinary. Hold that thought.
Thoughts, Raleigh?
I mean, I'm not surprised by any of it.
But then let's contrast with the Friday reaction. Oh, Trump's micromanaging. Trump is coming down on Harvard because he hates the elites. And oh, that Trump.
It's our $9 billion. If we want to take it back, we can.
Yeah, absolutely. And the fact is that Harvard is not some innocent. It's not just some research gone wrong. This is like, there was so much there in that 11 minutes or whatever, right? That golden moment. Russia, there was a peace moment at the end of the USSR. The KGB opened all its files to the CIA. And instead of making peace with Russia, Wall Street plundered it, right? Okay, I got one more for you. Let me double check this before I hit play. I think this is the one. Okay, one more and then we'll wrap it. Oh, stupid YouTube surveys.
You think Michael wants to join?
Yeah, but we're at the top of the. I mean, we're already at our time.
I don't know. He's not participating in the signal chat, so I doubt it.
No, I just want to cut it after. There's one more thing. I mean, we're already over the 15, but I wanted to see if I could find the Duran thing on Al Jawlani.
Al Jawadi, man. There's.
I mean, you got to see the dude, this is. I hope I can find it. Come on, videos. Dude, I hate it's so hard to find things. No, not this one. Come on. Oh, here it is. Here it is. Here it is. Oh, yeah, baby. Okay, this one, man. I really want to see your take on this. Okay, let me open it up.
I'm listening. I'm just away from the front of the computer for a second.
All good. I'm going to open up the Brave browser so we don't get our ads. People don't like ads playing. Okay, here we go.
I was in Iraq between.
Okay, so before I play it, Raleigh, I'll read out the tweet. This is all from Alex Christ for OU. I always try to think how to. It's like Christ for you, but with 2 O's around the 4. Alex Christopher you. Christ for you, Raleigh. Christ for you and you and you and you and you and you. Christ for everyone. Okay, so the tweet is from Sprinter Observy. Hold on. Okay, just checking my mic volume. Robert, this is what the tweet says. Robert Ford, the former U.S. ambassador to Syria, says he went to Idlib secretly in 2023 to revive Jolani and transform him from a terrorist into a politician. The U.S. ambassador revealed that in 2023, they formed a team that went to Idlib secretly with the mission of rehabilitating and training the terrorist Al Jolani and transferring him from the world of terrorism to normal politics. Okay, now I'm going to play it, just that first part of this clip, which mentions this, what I just said. Okay, so here we go. Share screen, Brave browser. Brave browser. Oh, that's funny. The Brave browser vertical tab actually shows up as a share option. Okay, hitting share. Here we go.
I was in Iraq between 2000. I started there in 2003 and served until 2010 with 20 months off for good behavior when they made me ambassador to Algeria, but then Condi Rice sent me back to Iraq again. So during that time, this guy, who's now the president of Syria, that's him on the
President of Syria. Who voted for him? No one. Right? Oh, Assad's a dictator. Oh, there's no democracy in the Middle East. Well, they did vote for Assad twice. Oh, that's because he's just stuck in there. He's a dictator. Okay, so then you got rid of him. Did you have elections? No elections. We have a new president. No elections, but somehow he's president.
left in his Al-Qaeda guise. And he was a senior Al-Qaeda commander up in northern Iraq in a city called Mosul. For Americans who were in Iraq, you might remember Mosul was one of the worst, nastiest places. The State Department actually lost 5 diplomatic personnel in 2 different car bombs up in Mosul during.
Okay, so the current president of Syria commanded Al-Qaeda fighters, which killed 5 U.S. State Department personnel. Are we clear on the death count so far? The current president of Syria killed 5 American personnel.
Okay. That time, and hundreds of American soldiers were killed or injured up in that Mosul.
Oh, hundreds of American soldiers killed by, interesting, who NATO picked to now be atop of Syria. Killed hundreds of U.S. soldiers. Kind of reminds me of the Lebanese Beirut bombing. What did they say? It was the Muslims, right? But then, you know, who had full
Yeah,
knowledge?
Syria's a shit show. I mean,
Yes, but again, when these guys were being killed by the Syrian Arab army, right? We had AJ Edelman saying, well, Rahul, now you're getting way too into it. I'm like, no, AJ, the Syrian Arab army was taking out the trash. And then Haley's friends in the IDF came along and rescued them and rehabilitated them. And now I got to hear about, oh, the Hamas. It's like, well, maybe when the Hamas was,
maybe Hamas shouldn't go in and kill people and kidnap people and hold people hostage and take, foreign aid that's being given so that they can sell it and fund their acts of terrorism. Hamas is not good people.
which includes $1 billion from Netanyahu's government, right? Which includes allying with the IDF in alignment against Syria.
I mean, I don't know how you can call people that are killing each other allies, but
I don't call it that. It's Hamas and Israel that chose, not the state, obviously, but when Hamas was being rescued by IDF, or this guy, I mean, Hamas, Al Qaeda, again, what's the difference? There is no difference, right? So let's see the rest of this.
Area by this guy and his fighters. So, starting in 2023, a British non-government organization which specializes in conflict resolution invited me to help them bring this guy out of the terrorist world and into regular politics.
This is my video update.
I guess that was the end of that. But you don't think I'm pro Hamas, right?
it starts to sound that way sometimes.
Okay, let's clarify that. How in what ways does it sound that way?
Well, it sounds like you're defending Hamas. You're saying that this was all, it sounds like you're saying this was all Israel's fault.
I'm
That's what
saying
it
that
sounds like you're
Hamas was at its weakest. Okay, the weakest point for Hamas would be when they lined up with Al Qaeda to attack Syria. And all Israel had to do was say, Assad, we prefer you to Al Qaeda. Okay, but instead they chose Al Qaeda. So, man, I should have had this prepped up, but let's see if we can pull this off. Okay, one last one, Raleigh. So I can clarify for the masses. I am not in any way, I'm the only friend of Israel, it feels like sometimes. Okay, where do we go? Which one is the one that's going to show it? Can we at least agree on this, that it was wrong to rescue Al Qaeda fighters? I mean, it would be wrong to rescue any Al Qaeda fighter. Like if an Al Qaeda terrorist is dying or wounded in battle, shouldn't they you want to let them die?
I don't know. I want to know the exact circumstances.
Okay, that's a good question. That's a good question. Let's see if we can root that out. Come on. Come on. Okay, let's just open up Chrome browser here. Bookmarks. I should have it bookmarked. Okay, here we go. Here we go. This is the scenario. It's at least one of them. Okay, so this was back in 2012, Raleigh. What you're about to see is Vice footage. Okay. And so remember, the world said Assad is a brutal dictator, just like they said against Saddam. Okay, this was the claim that was made. And we're trying to go back to Iraq war. Like Dan Olivo will say the Iraq war was wrong and the media got it wrong. Okay, but when did the media learn? And now we're doing this whole thing about Biden's dementia and, oh, the media and Jake Tapper. It's a fucking like 1 grain of sand compared to the beach of neocon warmongering by the media supporting the Muslim Brotherhood against Syria and against Gaddafi. Okay. And the very problems of the Palestinians uprising, those Palestinians uprising are the Muslim Brotherhood Palestinians that were brought in there by Israel, Turkey, NATO. Okay. They were not native to Palestine. So I'm trying to show where the original sin occur. I condemn all fanatics. I condemn Hadith. I condemn any compulsion, right? Because compulsion is against religion. That's in the Quran. Okay, I think it's chapter 2, 256, if I'm not mistaken. But here we go. I'm going to share the tab, and then I hope this provides some clarity as to my position and beliefs.
לא, אין תחושה ברגליים, תגידי, כאילו אין לו תחושה תחת השמש, בגלל שהוא לא יכול להזיז.
It's close to midnight in the Israeli-occupied Golan Heights, just a few hundred yards from the increasingly dangerous Syrian border. A team of Israeli soldiers is preparing for a special operation. It's potentially dangerous, and it's the first time they've invited journalists to witness anything like it. We wait as the vehicles drive towards the border, into darkness. 5 minutes later, some news over the radio.
קיבלתי פציעה בבטן ובחזה ירי מפה. So it's gonna be interesting.
Before long, the unit returns. The first part of their mission is a success. Only the mission probably isn't what you think. Rather than fighting their enemies, the Israelis are rescuing them. The soldiers are bringing 3 wounded Syrian fighters into Israeli territory for urgent medical care.
Rather than fighting their enemies, the Israelis are rescuing them.
What we're seeing here is really quite astounding. A group of Israeli soldiers treating fighters from Syria. You couldn't have imagined it happening 2 years ago, but it just goes to show how unpredictable the Middle East has become and how much this region is changing. About a mile away in Syria.
This is your argument for having the river to the sea?
No, I don't. When did I say I support the river to the sea? I've never said that. I believe in a one-state solution as ideal. I think the second two-state is less ideal, but if that's the way it's going, that's the way it's going. When have I ever said from the river to the sea?
I mean, okay, so they saved some Al-Qaeda fighters. Maybe they wanted intelligence information about where other Al-Qaeda fighters were. I don't know.
No. They were backing Al-Qaeda fighters. Okay, here, look. This is simple. It's not very complicated. When you hear this...
Predictable the Middle East has become and how much this region is changing.
Hold on. Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. Allah, God. Akbar, great. Allahu Akbar. God is great. By itself, that phrase should be okay. By itself, right? But in the context of this, what do we know? When Allahu Akbar, when we hear that, what is it usually associated with?
Terrorism.
That's right. These are the people that were terrorizing Syria. Again, Israel in our Bible, the wives of Jacob, where were they from? Syria. Okay. So the neocons, Project for a New American Century, couldn't have a secular Syria because the stability doesn't work for never-ending war. So they drummed up this thing, Assad's a dictator. And here we go, the rest of the footage.
About a mile away in Syria, an Al-Qaeda affiliate known as Jabhat al-Nusra has seized a swathe of land, and Syria's army is trying to take it back. This footage is from...
Okay, let's look at this map. Golan Heights. Okay. Syria, Israel. So instead, we have a New York Times article. Netanyahu and Assad, there was a peace treaty in the works that would have solved this, but then the Arab Spring came. So, okay, let's see if we can finish the video.
This footage is from a bloody battle earlier in the day, most likely where the 3 rescued Syrians were wounded. Earlier in the day, we drove to a nearby lookout point in a closed military zone to get closer to the fighting. Come up to the Golan Heights, an area that's controlled by Israel. It's been controlled by Israel since 1967, and this is a tank left over from that period when they fought a war with Syria for control of this area. Since then, this has been the quietest border in Israel. They've only had to deal with conflict pretty much on the Lebanese side and with Gaza. That's starting to change. With the civil war in Syria raging for the last 2 years, this has suddenly become Israel's hottest border. It's easy to hear and see the not too distant sound of shelling. On this day, al-Nusra forces are fighting the Syrian army for control of the main road to Damascus.
Okay, but to your point, Raleigh, the idea of, well, maybe they were rescuing Al-Qaeda to get intel on Al-Qaeda. That was Netanyahu's whole claim, that I'm giving money to Hamas to get in there and get intel on them. Now, how well did that work out on October 7th?
Not well. But I mean, I don't conflate the two. I don't have enough information on that. I don't know enough about it.
What I'm saying
I keep hearing this that Israel keeps financing Hamas. I mean, I see way more evidence that Iran has financed Hamas than Israel.
Israel financed Iran.
Oh my God. Okay. Well, no, I'm obviously not going to agree with that.
Well, okay. Did the weapons to Khomeini come from Israel? That's the claim that needs to be debunked. I mean, when UK and the UK and France got behind the Confederacy, like, what's the difference? What's the difference between supporting the Confederacy and supporting Khomeini? Ayatollah, you know, versus the Emperor of Persia.
I don't know.
But this is the block. If Aaron says...
Okay, all right, it's true. I don't feel like continuing to argue it. I mean, it sounds ridiculous that it sounds ridiculous. You're saying that Hamas and Iran are allies, that Israel wants... I mean, you're saying that Israel and Hamas are allies or satellites of Israel. And so Israel's using its satellites to create an ever-going war to keep killing each other. This is insane. I mean, no, I don't think that.
Well, it would have to...
I mean, if you want to say that, that's
insane.
fine. Just go around saying that Israel and Iran are allies or staunch allies.
I'm not going to say staunch allies.
Nobody is going to agree with that.
That's fine. As God is my witness, I'm going to say they are deceptive allies. And you would have to be insane to be involved in the conspiracy to overthrow the Emperor of Persia and believe that by forcing women to cover their hair, and if they don't, you're going to cane them, that this somehow is a good geopolitical situation for Israel or the Middle East or the world. You would have to be insane to support the overthrow of the emperor. But according to Aaron, that's not insanity. That's just realism and geopolitics. And sorry, Rahul, you don't like it, but that's just the way it is. Well, fuck that.
I think they hate each other. I think they're enemies. I've heard their leaders speak. I've heard their people speak. I mean, I can bring up 100,000 videos of Iran.
I agree with all of that, but who incited it? Who tipped it over?
The Iranians.
No. Lincoln was killed by who?
John Wilkes Booth.
But the assassination was plotted by Judah P. Benjamin, number 2 in the Confederacy.
Dude, I just there's no way I buy this. I mean, I do not think that Iran is a satellite state of Israel. That sounds no.
Okay, well, Israel gave the weapons to Khomeini. That so far no one has said, "Oh, Rahul, that's a fucking lie, fiction." I mean, I'm quoting whatever I've shown before. We can watch it again. But 660. Okay, let's put aside Israel. If Carter gave $660 million to Khomeini, right? Like, was the COVID virus China only, or did our tax dollars, EcoHealth Alliance, Fauci?
No, I will agree that America has given too much money to Iran. I will agree with that. Stop.
Not Iran now. I mean, there was the Persian Emperor, Pahlavi. Women in Iran look like women in America. You could wear bikinis. You could go to the beach. People drank Pepsi.
That's not the case anymore. And I mean,
why though, Raleigh? Why is it not?
Because they had a revolution and they overthrew.
It wasn't a revolution.
Okay, all right. I don't know. I don't study that much about it, I guess.
But
you're right. You're right. Iran and Israel are the greatest of friends.
That's not what I'm saying either. Like, Aaron goes the full opposite. I'm just trying to say there's a period of history, 1979, right? Like, Lincoln got killed. Okay, so American Civil War. So then the Confederacy, like, what happened to blacks after Lincoln got killed?
What does the Confederacy have to do with any of this? What I'm saying is,
Lincoln was like killing the
shop. Okay, so let me ask this question. Let me ask this question. What are you wanting to happen now? You're wanting the Israelis to pack up and leave the Levant and give it over to the Muslims? Okay, so what do you want to happen now?
What I want to happen now is for the truth to be acknowledged or rebutted. I want not.
It has been rebutted. I don't think anybody is trying to. I don't think anyone who's serious is trying to imply that Israel is an ally of Iran and aiding Iran and helping Hamas stay in power. I don't think Israel really wants Hamas to be in power.
I don't think Israelis want that. I don't think a large parts of the Israeli government want that. I think there's a conspiracy involved.
Well, I mean, I can't disprove that. So, I mean, I'm not going to sit here and try to disprove that. I just don't believe that.
That's fair, but in terms of like, okay.
I mean, I could say something else. I could make the claim that Narendra Modi wants Pakistan to be an unstable state. And he's financing these rebel groups in Pakistan, and he's keeping the Taliban alive. I don't believe that. I think that's a load of bullshit. But I could say that.
Okay, and if you had receipts to back it up.
You don't have receipts. You have...
I have Mike Ball on the 700 Club telling, what's his name, Jimmy Carter gave $660 million to Khomeini.
Well,
okay, just put aside Israel. When Jimmy Carter did that, gave $660 million, right? When you topple a government, isn't there some, like, you broke it, you bought it? Isn't that the saying? So look, I
mean, I'm just going to say, I don't believe that. I can't disprove it. Because you haven't put forward anything really official. I mean, I'm going to need more to believe. I've heard this claim before that that Israel's sponsoring Hamas. I've heard this claim, and if that's the case, fine. Then why won't they just? I mean, if Hamas is nothing more than an appendage of Bibi Netanyahu's Likud party, then why can't they just stop the war? I don't understand what's going on
Okay,
here.
it's more like bulldogs.
I have to really, really, really get into a crazy mindset that
if you were raised, okay, Polly Pocket, you raise her to be kind and respectful. But instead, if you were turning her into a vicious attack dog and you had a pack of them, right, to sick on your enemies, okay, but they're wild, crazy dogs, they might bite you, right? Because that's what wild, crazy dogs do. They'll even bite their owner. They're that wild and crazy.
yeah, and if that happens, you put them down.
Exactly. That's what Trump's trying to do. But I think, again, the conspiracy is why, and my counterpoints or my what I bring for evidence is, again, the Soleimani killing. That Trump took out Soleimani. We still don't know why Israel backed out at the last second. I mean, nothing's really been offered of that. But I would say if you take down Soleimani, you're neutralizing the threat. So you don't want to take him down. So instead you can take down his minions, you know? So 1979, I need to get some Persians on there that are like pro Shah to explain, but it's like the best I can say is if Lincoln was gone and then I don't know how else to say it, but like Lincoln, okay, getting rid of the Persian Emperor Pahlavi, getting rid of Assad, getting rid of Gaddafi were the wrong choices, but oh well. Okay, I guess
I would agree with that.
Okay.
I don't think it's added further stability to the region. I think that they were that the United States played a role in all of them, and I think it's had disastrous repercussions for us in the long run. And you know, I don't agree with that, but I do not think that Israel is keeping Hamas in power.
Well, that's where I hope I can convert AJ to the idea that it's not about Qatar, it's not about Turkey or Iran, it's not about any Muslim country this, Muslim country that. It's about the umbrella, which is, again, this so-called Muslim Brotherhood. And like, because I've noticed this thing where people go, like, some Jewish people, not all, but they'll go, oh, multiculturalism, oh, Muslims with the veil. Well, we got to respect that because that's their culture. It's not their fucking culture. It's a fucking cult, just like the KKK hoodie. So rather than playing footsies with hijabis or the veil or certain Muslim groups, just reject the whole thing. Once the Muslim Brotherhood, so-called Muslim Brotherhood, is rejected as a concept, that's an irrational way of thinking, then, you know, there'll be some sort of like longer, I guess, peace, right? But this appeasement idea or whatever is failing. So I don't know. That's all that. But is there anything else you wanted to plug in here? We're at 48 minutes off our 15-minute show.
No.
Okay,
we're going to be doing a show tomorrow.
All right, I'll play the outro here. Well, first I'm going to play one of our anti-group think videos, then I'll play the outro.
Ever feel pressure to think a certain way? It's easy to fall into the trap of everyone else believes it, so should I. But remember, your thoughts are your own. Just because the majority of race X believes Y doesn't mean you have to as well. Think critically, question, and form your own opinions. It's okay to stand out and be different. Embrace your unique perspective and let it shine.
Okay, now the outro.
Sorry if we cut anyone off, but that's a wrap. Remember, you can catch us live Monday through Friday from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern. It's your chance to join the conversation and have your voice heard. Just check the link in the description or visit americastalk.show. Together, Through the free exchange of ideas, we can truly make America great again. Don't miss out. Tune in and be part of the dialogue.